Good evening and welcome to another edition of Inside the Burrow, the latest and still the greatest FIU podcast for and by fans, brought to you by FIUAllisonist.com. My name is Dan. I'm here with the usual suspects, Jack and Aaron. Say hello, guys.
Hello.
What's up, Al Nation?
So we are here again. I guess we're really the true passionate fans after this one. Another tough loss to Ball State. Another one possession loss. FAU lost to Ball State on Saturday after what seemed like 5 lightning delays and several hours worth of lightning delays. 31-27. So I guess we'll kind of jump right into it tonight. I mean, it was another one of those. Coulda, woulda, shoulda games, and I think could go a long way into our bowl hopes. But it was a pretty disappointing loss. This was a real tough one. I don't know. How did you guys feel? What are your initial thoughts on the game, Aaron?
Well, because my wife works Sundays, we left with that third quarter lightning delay. So I kind of listened to the game on the way home at home, and I thought, okay, we're in a delay. We still have a chance to win it. But then after that fourth quarter one, and like the defense is suddenly like, all right, I'm tired. I'm cramping up. I want to go home. I want to get back in my room, ice up, go to bed and eat. They just seemed to gave up there at the end. Then offensively, first half it was great. We seemed to be moving the ball. Jason Driscoll was doing stuff to get us down the field, put us in position to score. But when we were at, the third quarter, we were right there on the 1 yard line, 3 straight running plays up the middle. I was like, okay, they're stuffing 8-9 guys in the box. Get Jason Driscoll to run a bootleg or run outside a pocket, maybe force guy to chase him because he's fast and he could have gotten in the end zone. I mean,
that was really frustrating.
Yeah, I had to shake my head at the end.
That goal line stand, we did run those plays right up the middle. That's definitely been a hot topic since the end of the game. My take on it is just complete and utter disappointment. You really think that we're about to turn the corner, make those strides that Coach Partridge keep talking about changing the culture of the program, learning how to win, closing out games. And it just reminded me of Rice last season all over again. Had the lead majority of the game for this game against Ball State. We were winning the entire game until the final minute. Rain delay after rain delay. And after the last one, the away team just drives right down our throat and scores to go ahead. And I just feel like we haven't learned from the previous mistakes against Rice, against Buffalo, against Jesus, and the list keeps going.
Tulsa. I mean, to give you an idea, under Coach Partridge, FAU was 4-11 in one possession games. 4-11. So those 11 losses, and like you said, there was Rice 2 years ago. Rice was 2 years ago, by the way. The Buffalo we got blown out, but the Tulsa game last year was another example of that. If you want to go 2 years ago, Wyoming.
Oh my God, the Wyoming game
one of the worst losses ever.
Sure. Florida last year too.
So 4-11. If half the games of those one possession games, the talk is completely different. And I was talking to one of my friends who he came to his first game at the stadium, and he was impressed with the facilities and everything like that. But even he was going back to that goal line stand, like Driscoll is mobile. The touchdown that he had, that one running touchdown where the play just kind of broke down and he saw a line and he saw an alley and took it and scored. Three straight running plays right up the middle. That was really disappointing. why not a sweep? Why not a pass? Get the quarterback moving so that he has multiple options, whether he's going to pass it or whether he's going to run it. That was just kind of it makes you scratch your head because the offense racked up 445 yards, and we lost the game. We scored 24 points in the first half and 3 points in the second half. It's just like I don't know. It's things that just continuously are so frustrating because you see like we're like right there. We're so close to kind of turning the corner and winning those one possession games, and we just continue to whatever it may be. I mean, I think lightning delays certainly played a lot into it. You get hyped for the beginning of the game, then you've been told go sit down. Then the game starts, then lightning delay, then you got to go sit down. Then there's halftime. Then you get hyped to start the game, and then you got to go sit down. And like I think by the end of the game, like the defense, and again our defense, the defensive line and really linebackers, I think is where we're hurting the most. Just like laid down, probably exhaustion. But that last drive, they basically just ran at will, and that was really disappointing. So. I don't know. Do you guys have any other thoughts on Ball State before we move on? I'm trying to look what we had here.
Well, I when it comes to the lightning delays, I feel like that could be a coaching thing. It's the coach's jobs to kind of keep the players in the game. It's frustrating that we have lightning delay after lightning delay, and we still don't know how to get over that hump that a team from Indiana does. This is my first rodeo with lightning delays. We should be able to, be pretty good at dealing with these by now, and we're not.
Yeah.
And Brian Rowitz brought up a good point. I think it was on the way home when I was driving on the way home from during that third quarter one. It's like this at this time of the year, and him and Ken Levick agreed on it. This time of the year, because A.D. Chun listened to the fans, the whole athletic department listened and said no more noon kickoffs in September and October. And this is one of those things where this time of the year we get those late afternoon, late evening, those evening thunderstorms that pop up. I'm guessing it's an NCAA rule. If there's something within 10 miles, you have to stop the game for player safety. And I mean, but like Jack said, we experienced this down here. Guess what? We should know how to keep our players hyped, loose, keep them going. And it didn't happen again.
Yeah, just terribly frustrating. So we'll kind of move on and to move into something new this week. We've got some good things in the show. So we kind of talked about this. I kind of talked a little bit about this. And this week decided to do, and we'll try to move forward with this every week as far as a poll. So this week's poll, originally, kind of the same line of how many wins do you think this team will have, but it was going to be more positive because I was hoping for a win this year. But for those that haven't voted, you can still check it out on the forum. It's up there. And I also posted the poll onto Twitter, and we'll kind of go over the results. So so the question is, how many wins will FAU have, or how many wins will we finish with this year? 3 wins or less. It's about 1/3 of the voting, around 30% of the people, the fans that voted. On Owl's Nest is about 13 people, and 30% of them over on the Twitter poll. 4 to 5 wins, which is where I personally kind of see us. I right in that line. That there's the majority of people, 45% of the people think we'll get 4 to 5 wins, and then the numbers go down even more from there. 6 wins, which we'll talk about where these wins potentially could come from, but about 13% think we will have 6 wins, and then just 10% of the people. And we got a pretty good turnout over. I mean, a couple hundred. I think about maybe 200 votes, 150 or so came in. So we definitely appreciate those that voted, and we'll try to do this. So I guess, guys, what we can talk about. So again, I think if you look at our schedule, I said 4 to 5 wins. If you look at our schedule, the rest of the way, we have FIU at FIU, and we'll talk about FIU in depth in a little bit. Which FIU I think should be a win. They're just in a bad place in their program. Charlotte, if we do not beat Charlotte, we are major changes needs to come. Then we've got Marshall. We've got Marshall at Marshall. That's going to be a tough game. Western Kentucky, always good. We've got them at home, but I think it's still going to be tough. They still have a fantastic offense. They put up 500 yards a game, I think, twice this year. Then we go away to Rice. Rice, very winnable game. UTEP as well. UTEP, I think – do we have UTEP here?
Yes,
Yeah, here at home.
Okay.
So I think UTEP, because we've got them at home, that's another win. So where am I? I'm at Rice, Charlotte, FIU, and UTEP. And then our remaining two games, ODU and MTSU. I think ODU is a toss-up. Again, we've got them at home. That could be good for us. And MTSU, that's, MTSU, they just have our number every year. We can't really win. So you potentially could see there's 4 more wins. That's 5. I think we're going to be around that 4 to 5 win mark. If we're able to pull an upset of sorts against Marshall. Marshall's quarterback is out. Chase Litton.
From Tampa.
From Tampa. Yeah, of course Jack knows him. Tampa represent. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe this is the year that we catch Marshall, sleeping, or maybe we catch.
This is the year we can finally beat Stockstill in Middle Tennessee.
Exactly. So I don't know. So those are kind of the poll thoughts and my thoughts. What are your guys? Where do you see this team finishing? 4 to 5 wins, 3 wins. What is it?
I see 4 wins. Oh, go ahead, Aaron.
I agree with Dan. 4 to 5, possibly. Look at go to behind me. FIU, we should win. Charlotte, we should win. Which, by the way, my parents are going to be in town for my anniversary. They're going to be coming to the Charlotte game. We should beat Rice, like Dan said. ODU is a toss-up. If Jack, you mentioned before we started, UTEP's got some of the best rushers in the league.
Yeah, they have Alex Jones. He's currently the second best running back in the nation.
Yeah, maybe we can beat them. But Middle Tennessee, it's that one game where it can be a toss-up, but like Dan said, Middle Tennessee always seems to have our number, whether we play them on Boca or we play them on Murfreesboro.
Yeah, let's see if we can steal 1 out of the 3 between Western, Middle, and Marshall. The rest, you have FIU and Charlotte. Those should be wins, have to be wins. Then you have a couple of the toss-up games. I'm throwing Rice into the toss-ups, even though they've struggled a lot this year. They're not the same Rice that they were a few years ago when we played them in Houston. Old Dominion toss-up. They struggled a bit. They played UTSA well this past week. Then you have UTEP. You can say it's a toss-up, but I just don't think we can stop the run to save our lives. So I don't like our chances going into that game as of now. Things can change. So right now I have us around 4 wins. I think at this point, let's just try and beat one of those 3 teams that we mentioned earlier. That's all I ask at this point.
Yeah, I agree. So again, check out the poll on FAUOwlsnest.com. There's some good discussion going on as far as where those wins might come from. And I'll lean more towards 5 because I'm an eternal optimist. But you kind of have to be if you're going to be an FAU fan. So I guess to continue on and move on into something else, we're going to try to do something a little differently moving forward and try to invite some people on the show from the opponent's fan base this week. So this week, we've got Robert, an FIU fan. Say hey, Robert.
Hey, guys. What's up? How you doing, Dan?
So thank you, Robert, for being on with us. And we thought it might be kind of cool to have a fan who is similar to us and kind of get their viewpoint on their specific team instead of us kind of just spouting off statistics about our opponent. We'll kind of get another fan's perspective. So I guess the biggest news to start the day out or to start the conversation on FIU is Ron Turner, after 3 years. Was let go. Started out 0-4 after a big loss to UCF. And just kind of, it seems like there's kind of a lot of turmoil going on down there. What's your take on it, Robert?
That's exactly right. He was there for about not even 3.25 years, and got fired mid-season, as we all know by now. Not much going on. He's only won 10 games in his out of 40 in the past 3.25 years. No progression from the Cristobal area, obviously. You got one of the more accurate quarterbacks in the conference in Alex Magoo. There was some time with Medlock, but with Magoo, it's been you've had a better quarterback at least, but the program hasn't seemed to actually move forward or progress since the Cristobal years.
Yeah, it seemed like last year you guys finished 5-7.
Mm-hmm.
Seemed as if there was progression happening, but I don't know. That's kind of tough. And you mentioned Magoo, so I guess to kind of get into the game, FAU is currently favored. I think the line started at about FAU was favored by 5, and today, as we're recording this on Tuesday, the line jumped up to 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that kind of Rick said this on the forum, is that kind of says a lot about the FIU. The state of the program, but I don't know, Jack. What are your thoughts on this FIU team?
Well, kind of, we're going to continue with the coaching talk here. Ron Cooper, the defensive coordinator, has just been given the interim coaching duties. He has a good amount of experience. He's led the defense well over the past few years. They have struggled mightily this year, both offensively and defensively side of the ball, hence Turner's termination. They've also had really tough games. They've played Indiana. They played Maryland. They went up to UMass, and that game didn't go over too well after they started off on the right track there. And then they hosted UCF and this past weekend, and that didn't go over too well either for him. So I'm interested to see what Cooper is going to decide when it comes to who's going to start the game at quarterback. We all know about Alex Magoo, one of the best quarterbacks in mid-major football, but he has struggled mightily this year, as the rest of the team has. He's just thrown one quarterback, and he's thrown 4 picks. So before Turner left for the UCF game, Turner started a freshman from Booker T. Washington, Maurice Alexander, who played all right, 1 pick, 1 touchdown. I'm going to think that Cooper is going to have to go with the veteran here and start Magoo, which could give us some trouble when it comes to passing. He played a decent game last year. I'm more concerned about the running backs. I'm always concerned when it comes to us stopping the run. You have Gardner and Jones, 2 solid running backs. Both have scored already this season. I am a bit, again, concerned if Magoo is quarterback, but I do like our DBs. It's a running game I'm more worried about.
Robert, what do you think, as an FIU fan, do you have any leaning towards whether Magoo or Alexander, or what are your thoughts?
I would say, just like Jack explained earlier, with a new coach, a defensive-minded coach, you're probably going to go with the guy who's been the veteran quarterback, the guy who's proven himself in the previous 2 seasons. Yeah, everything hasn't worked out so far, but you got to take a look at where this is going. And do you want to go ahead and put in a redshirt freshman who's only had, I think, somewhere around the maybe 30 full attempts all season? Or do you want to go with the guy who threw for, I think, somewhere around 4,000 yards last season? 4,000 over, I think. So
I didn't know it was that much.
Yeah. He actually led the state over all quarterbacks in passing yards and touchdowns.
Wow. Because I know, and so we're talking about this, and not just because of a quarterback controversy, but Alex Magoo got injured. Probably, I think I was watching. It may have been. Who did they play at home? They played UMass.
They played
Indiana at home.
Yeah, they played. I think it was that game. It was that game that he got injured for it briefly. And I believe he came in later in the game to finish out.
Yeah. I don't know. It's been it just seems like I don't know. And so they're Pete Garcia fired the head coach, but I think what's interesting and kind of get your perspective on this, but and I tweeted this out. So Pete Garcia basically set the terms for his own firing. He said, all right, after in 2000, I think it was 18, 2000. I know it was 2017, but he said, all right, I'll be resigning at this point. It's like you do a really crappy job, and then you give yourself a termination. Like, all right, I'm still going to be getting paid for 2 years. Then you fire the head coach, and potentially somebody who's not even going to be working there in a year and a half is going to be the one potentially picking the next coach. I don't know. That seems like a tough situation. Not that we're anything much better than that currently, but that just seems tough.
Yeah. So, from a fan's perspective, suffering through the Pete Garcia era, whether it's been the firing of the best coach that the program's had in Mario Cristobal, the hiring of Isaiah Thomas for the basketball program, the god-awful basketball floor with that beach scene, and then that being torn up in I think it was a Zumba class.
Really?
Yeah. If you take a look back, you'll see it was like $2 million worth of damage. So between that, now you look at this and you go, okay, we're struggling with attendance. You got a guy who says who's firing the coach, who said he was going to search the whole nation for a big time coach to bring to this program because we were up and coming to bring us up to that next level. It doesn't happen. You get the guy who was Josh Freeman's quarterback coach at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What's Josh Freeman doing? He was the quarterback coach for the Colts, and everyone said, "Oh, he's with Peyton Manning." It just so happened to be the same year that Peyton Manning was injured for the first or all 16 games, I think. And he worked with Curtis Painter. When was the last time you heard that name?
Yeah.
So, you bring that up, and while Ron Turner, I think he's a good guy. I don't think he's much of a head coach, and you see it, like I said, in only winning a quarter of the games that the team has played. And now you got Pete Garcia saying, I'll go ahead and give myself an extension here, but don't worry, I've heard your problems with me, so I'll go ahead and quit in 2018 after that contract's up. But I need to give myself a secure paycheck, and also, I look at this and I look at it like Sepp Blatter from FIFA saying, I'll go ahead and quit after this time. But how's that turned out?
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. That's pretty tough. So I guess to dig in a little bit more, I guess more into the game. There's a couple players, and we don't know who's starting at quarterback, whether it's going to be McGoo or Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
As Jack mentioned, they're running backs. Alex Gardner, always dangerous. He seems to be somewhat limited this year. He's got 57 carries for 288 yards. So it doesn't seem maybe quite not as explosive, but teams could be keying in on him, knowing that he's a weapon. And then Jonnu Smith, people are talking about he's potentially an NFL caliber tight end. He's leading the team in receiving, but he's only got 189 yards. One of the people that I'm and Aaron, we'll get your thoughts in a second here. One of the people that maybe Owl fans might not be potentially looking at, but it's a freshman wide receiver, Stanley Thomas. He's really small, but he's super, super quick. I've watched a couple of FIU games this year, and he's always impressed. He always seems to be able to get behind the DBs. So I'm going to be looking at mainly Stanley Thomas to see how he does. But Aaron, what are I don't know what are you looking for this week, and what are your thoughts of heading into the game?
Well, from last year's game, it was pretty much when we weren't knocking Magoo to the ground with Trey Hendrickson in that defensive front. He did pass the ball a little bit on our defense. He was able to get the drop, their offense going. Their defense did kind of not limit us. They had a little bit of issue, but they did force us a punt a few times. I'm looking for, in this game, I have to see improvement on not offensively, because offensively, FAU's moving the ball. They can drive downfield, but they got to finish drives. Travis Trickett, no offense, stop running plays up the middle.
Yeah.
3 straight times. Because it didn't work versus Ball State. I don't see how it's going to work versus FIU, because they got some big boys on that defensive front up there. But I mean, it all depends who's starting at quarterback. Like you guys have mentioned, they got some studs on the outside positions. They got some studs at running back. And hate to say it, our defense took a huge step backward from last year. We're not tackling. Our players are out of position. I mean, yeah, you lose people to graduation. This is college. It's not professional football. You can't sign guys to long-term contracts to show up that defensive front. But you have to play your assignments. You have to tackle it. You have to be in position. I'm going to say this, and I don't know why nobody's mentioned it on the board. Some of these younger players are having that sophomore regression that a lot of people, are saying some players go through. I think they're having that sophomore regression. They had a great year their freshman year. They didn't burn a red shirt, but they're in their second year. They already know they're suffering a little bit through that regression, because now they got the whole defense thrown at them. Remember last year, Rock Balatonio said, we're keeping it simple for them. This year they got the whole defensive package in now for a lot of these players. So you have to play smart, and you have to play discipline this week versus FIU.
Yeah. It's a good point. There aren't very many the sophomore regression. That's also kind of something to think about, because we did have so many true freshmen and freshmen playing this year. So yeah, I mean, it's a game again. It's a game that FAU should win, but so was Ball State. Although I think Ball State's going to a little bit better than FIU, but no offense to FIU.
No, it's
but I think that's just kind of something to. It's a game FAU should win. Again, I think it's going to come down to. I think mostly it's going to come down to defense and offensive line. Again, we lost our backup, Tarek Thomas, another offensive lineman this year. Offensive line was, I think most people thought was supposed to be one of our strengths this year, and we've just gotten destroyed. Roman Fernandez might be back. The depth chart hasn't come out yet. And Kelly Parfit, I think last week they were on the depth chart, but they didn't play. So maybe they'll be updated here. But yeah. We really appreciate you being on. Robert, do you get any closing thoughts on the FIU Shula Bowl race?
Yeah, I would just really appreciate it as an FIU fan if those rowdy FAU players didn't break the trophy this year and rip off that. but in all seriousness, I would really, this is one of those rivalries, especially a young South Florida teams, that I would love to see that rivalry pick up like it seemed to have been a couple of years ago. Now it seems to have dropped off. So I would, especially with the new stadiums, especially one at FAU, I would like to see a lot more coming out of South Florida rather than just, these disappointing seasons.
Yeah, us too. Even though we are happy that we're winning the Shula Bowl 10-2.
Oh yeah. But hey, the only thing we can do is get better, right?
Yeah. Well, again, Robert, we really appreciate you being on, and thanks for being here, and hopefully we'll be talking to you in the future.
All right. Thanks, guys. You have a good one, all right? Good luck.
Thanks. You too. So once again, thanks, Robert, for being here. We really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us and kind of give us that other fan perspective. And Per usual, thanks for Aaron and Jack for being here. And as always, go Owls.